Good day, all. My name is Josiah Omizurike. I am the founder of Lockdown LLC. Currently, we are located at the USA Incubator in Columbia, South Carolina. I am here to present to you a very interesting paper. The running head is Novel COVID-19 and Telehealth. However, the document will highlight our work in cryptography. Uh, to clearly state what it is our understanding of data and the need to redefine data. I will continue with the abstract or the introduction to the document. This document is not mathematical present. It's not a mathematical presentation. Neither is it a technical presentation. It is rather a high-level architecture of the direction we took in solving a major problem in our times. And just to let you know, we've just received an allowance for one of the patents that we put in for as a result of what we found in our work. To continue, I will go ahead with the abstract. The expose of our research will address revenue avenues that will bring a solution to the workforce who are currently at home and those in the field for security of humanity and the unity of the world. Our work strongly suggests that a true digital identity is equally a novel pursuit. This is something that many are trying to so hard to accomplish. In this paper, we recognize that one cannot achieve this desired digital identity without first redefining data. Data, when redefined, are made unique in content. Contents, with respect to space and time, will serve the purpose of a true digital identity. This will give technology builders a solid foundation to rely on as they forge the new direction for digital industry in an integrated world. The fourth industrial revolution will need to rely on clearly identified entities as to who or what they are for accountability. We will show that the technology developed with the promise of creating digital ID through security of information by encrypted verification, validation, and evaluation is here with us. This is founded upon autonomous homomorphic encryption that we could possibly explain in subsequent papers. Now, following, what is data redefined? Data is a correlation. What is data, to be precise? Data is a correlation of statistical samples into one common identifiable unit known as a fact in that particular field. Data today are found belonging to either, this is according to IT standards and frameworks. So they are found to belong to either private or public sector, but they will fall under number one, single source of truth. And in single source of truth, you have a master document from which all of that copy is derived. There is you can say this is analogous to a master document with no other reference points. All other source refers to it, and it does not silo into any other source. Okay, so the second one will be multiple source of truth, and the multiple source of truth. Here you have the opposite of SSOT, which is single source of truth. Data have many sources of truth. Like data have many other sources that you can where you can grab them from. The way we analyze data verify its authenticity or its origin. The This somehow will affect how it's to be used. Okay, the authenticity or the origin. This affects how the data is used. This also affect how we classify them as a part of business logic or general information. Businesses rely on the source of data to making decisions or to make decisions. This is very important for government institutions and corporations. So when you look at SSOT for IT, uh, they used it to improve their business decision making. And currently, we are using technologies that require data lakes like artificial intelligence. Some of these strategies employed make data sources susceptible to specifically susceptible, especially the MSOT, which is multiple source of truth. And what we meant by that, it turns out that data that relies on these channels will have high propensity for introduction of dirty information, adulterated, corrupt, and non-sanitized information. And to top it all, you have the temper of the that particular information as well. Is get tampered with directly or indirectly. So that one is another problem that comes in when you are dealing with data where there are many banks of grabbing such information. So armed with this understanding, we can observe that data does not share a life cycle of accountability regarding its source and contents and content. Many might argue that, but there is no single pervasive data lifecycle framework that is known to man right now. Yes, we have some amount of visibility, transparency, but not absolute accountability of data sources. One can argue that there's no such thing as absolute accountability of data sources. However, one should be able to make granular the the possibility of visibility. So what we're saying is there's a way to make more granular the possibility of having visibility in all assets with absolute control to the masses or individuals that originate the data. As a result, we have a great need to redefine data. Henceforth, let's say you have a comma in a document, digital document, or a dot, or what some people might call period. Another component of written language is, let's say, a whole message. However small in character that is, we are saying that it should carry on a distinct representation as its identity. We can still retain our copy paste culture, which is very popular nowadays, but all data must be accounted for all time if we must successfully achieve our goal in securing anything. So what do we mean by redefining data? What do we mean by how should we treat data in a digital era? And what mechanism will shape this concept? Probably a better way to say it is what mechanism would bring this to light. So redefining data is a process of securing all information using encrypted verification, validation, and evaluation. There should be another layer of data analytic introduce an information technology which must represent all data in intermediary. This will protect provenance by redirecting a specific part of the provenance. Some of the example for provenance could be name and email. For those of you that have an understanding of advanced authentication, you'll be looking at some other things like what you have, what you know, and what you are, of which name fall into what you have, and email fall into what you have. And password and the rest should be password should fall into what you know, and what you are should be biometric. Okay, so basically at this point, what we are saying that if we have an intermediary, it's a system where there's this symbol for every data. Let's just bring it down to the grassroots. There's a symbol for every data. That's what I call intermediary or intermediate representation. And this will protect provenance by redirecting a specific part of the provenance to an alternate data. So you have a provenance, you encrypt that provenance, it becomes an alternate data, meaning you have built out of the original information that you have built something else that's a symbol of that original data. In this case, it's encrypted and then it becomes a provenance. What I mean by provenance is it will be used to prove a relationship between A and B or prove um, an exchange between A and B without the two parties revealing completely their information or who they are without first knowing who they are talking to. And this guarantees the protection of the source, which in this case refers to provenance and the connection to the right intermediary at all times. Each intermediary will at no given point reference a value of type which it did not originate. So you can liken this to SOP or CORS. So in either case, you have CORS where you have to share a resource, while in fact you are not in the same location, or you are not uh, an object found to be able to access that because it's not the same origin. However, in COP that applies, but in CORS you are allowed to access a resource of which you are not in the same origin. So it's called cross origin resource sharing. That's CORS. And then you have SOP, which is same origin policy, which is applied in many other places in software development. So if all intermediaries are distinct, we will say that the sources are also distinct. That is the desirable outcome. That's what we want to accomplish. If a source cannot relate to the wrong intermediary, then that source is sound. In corollary, we can say that the process is correct if the intermediary can only point to the right source. Moving forward, if you would have copied or pasted anything, that copy must reference the parent document. If not, you will never justify a true digital identity. So timestamping is not just enough. Only by redefining data, we were able to achieve the results seen in application security score report. I will show the application security score report. But before I do, I would like to point to the fact that we hear about water everywhere, but not a single drop to drink. And the same applies to our data. Data have become the new gold, and data will play a very large role in our coming lifetime. Now we are in the digital era, and we are seeing artificial intelligence, and we are seeing a whole lot of things like data mining, data science has become a full-blown field in the industry. So our lamentation is on the data everywhere, but not a single unique datum in all. So we have recognized that there is a need to give data a life of its own. The block of data should have a life of its own. That simply means everything we've been taught about it, we have to redefine it. We have to relearn it. We have to unlearn it. We have to, everything we knew about data should at this point start to change. And what do I mean by that? The masses, the population should be able to control their data. The population, if we have democratized everything, there's one more thing to democratize. That's the security of one's data. So a person should be able to define when their data is born, how long it lives in the wild, and when it dies. We must work hard to get to that point where data, every bit of it will have a life of its own. So strategically, uh, I would like to say arguably, to strategically solve this problem once and for all, we need to bring external context into cryptography. And autonomous homomorphic encryption will play a large role. I would like to explain that. So when I say autonomous cryptography, I am referring to an advanced encryption that is capable of addressing the onslaught of quantum computing on primitive cryptography. So the system we currently use largely relies on public key infrastructure. In public key infrastructure, we have the private and we also have the public key. To make a long story short, these two keys are used to carry volumetric encryption keys, which in this case falls into what they call symmetric cryptography, and that's majorly AES. And these keys, as you can see, if you carry something across, that means you got it from somewhere. If you got it from somewhere, there's a copy there. And that has been the rat race that we have in the industry, in the cybersecurity industry. So we are always trying to hide these keys, and the hackers are always trying to find them, and it's a rat race. Simply put, autonomous homomorphic encryption is this, as the name suggests, morphs. You see, homomorphic, it morphs. Okay, it will morph many ciphertexts from digital identifying products to one message or clear text. Normally, if you have studied computer science, you will know that it is usually a clear text to one ciphertext. But now, further understanding have led us to believe and implement, in a practical sense, the possibility of having many ciphertexts coming out of a clear text. These create layers of ciphertext that could be used in the intermediaries aforementioned or intermediate representations that I've already mentioned. So this is the security report here. The security report is not that big of a deal. I use Mobile Security Framework, which is an open source tool made by some great guys, and I use that to run a test in some of the tools that we built by, you know, observing this framework that we've developed and observing this whole um, data redefinition. And by observing it, I mean we are taking the study, the observation, the result from the study, and we are implementing these. We're taking the science and implementing it into something that's useful, which is the technology that we are presenting in a very high level. So when we took the results out of the score report is here for the application called Lockdown Cash App. You can easily find that application on this website. I will present the website here. You can find that application here. And there are many more applications you can find on that website you can test and use and see how they work. And this website is going to come up in a little bit. Okay, right here. So if you go to download new right here, you should be able to download the Android version of this application and see what you can do with it. And hopefully you will be convinced that we are on the right track. So moving forward here, these are the results. These are what we found, and well, the app really scored highly because of the idea we introduced into threat modeling and seeing things from a different perspective. Moving forward, in conclusion, we would like to rise and say a few things, and these will be a few remarks. So, in conclusion, redefinition of data is the starting point for creating any meaningful digital identity for the unity of the world. Once we accept the present need for this, the work will be half done. A pervasive redefinition will go a long way in securely connecting data to people, locations, and other materials used in our technology called subentities. Example of these subentities could be your primary authentication device like your smartphones and or IoT devices. These will help the world to interact easily if we go ahead to implement this, making distinct using unique identifiers for everything, including the messages, the words, in other words, including the data. Soon, this will form a triangle with an almost indelible accountability. Ultimately, we will be creating a true digital identification with many benefits, growing from protecting online privacy, securing personal information, staving off hackers, solidifying access to public resources, in telehealth, social media, teleconferencing, administration, banking, and etc. This means less internet supervision, less automatic digital controls, many more advantages. Currently, you guys can attest with me that big techs today, they know what you are going to do even before you do them. They are leading us like a beast with a nose ring, and they're dragging us wherever they choose to go. Every waking moment is some kind of attraction that will get us on screen 24/7. We are saying, in a nutshell, it's time for the users to be informed of their right to their data, that even them can make money from their own data. The world could reap the benefit if we remain inclusive by integrating relevant resources from many other researchers of diverse backgrounds. Together, we can realize a harmonious digital identity, standard, and product. Instead of building new tools for new breaches, we can put our focus in building security into data as one of the root causes of the problems in the information technology age. Also, this will make obsolete the bandit culture, which dominates cybersecurity, and the concern posed by ever increasing needs for text, audio, video, and conference applications. And this is it. We have a few references. You can look at the references in your spare time. If you need a copy of this abstract, I can send it to you. You can reach out to me, and that will be it. I really appreciate the time that you've given us here, and I thank you all for listening. And I'll continue to create the awareness and make you guys understand the need to be very careful with our data. My name again is Josiah Omezurike. I'm the founder of Lockdown LLC, and I've given you a piece of the direction that